Hello friends, this is Grace here. Welcome to the Essential Stencil Facebook page. It's so exciting. We're going to do a really cute project on some of the pine wood tags today. And while we're live, there'll be, at the end of the broadcast, there'll be 3 sets of stencils given away live to 3 of you lucky viewers. So if you are here catching the live, if you see that little red live button in the upper corner, please make sure you say hello so that we know that you're here, so that we can get to know you and chat with you. Feel free to ask questions. And 3 lucky winners will be chosen from those who are commenting in the live broadcast. But replay watchers, you're not left behind. Replay watchers, we will also have another winner chosen from the replay folks. So make sure that you let us know that you're here catching replay. Okay, welcome. I want to grab this feed on my iPad or my computer real quick. Make sure I can see all your comments because the phone that I'm broadcasting from is just too far away. I cannot see so good. So I can't see that for comments, but I do want to chat with you, get to know who's here, say hello to you all. Again, you're on the Essential Stencil Facebook page. I hope that's my goal. Let me just get there. Yes, there we are. And my name is Grace. I'm here from the Comfy Nest with Grace. I'm excited to be here to do a little project with you. I've got some really pretty papers sitting in front of me and the mini tags and this set of Valentine Gnome mini stencils. They are darling, really cute. So this is what we're going to be using. There's an end of the year sale going on right now, 25% off the things in the store online, essentialstencil.com. So don't miss the end of the year sale. Don't forget to check out the new bundles that are available and use my code, The Comfy Nest, to get an extra 10% off. Good morning. Hello, Jenny. Hi, Janice. There's Jennifer, Tex, BFF. Those are my girls, the crafty chicks that come on over from my page, who are on my text alert system. They're saying hello in the comments. So hello, Candy and Lynn. Kathy's here. Good morning, Kathy. Oh, Kathy, you can catch me. I'm live quite often in my paid membership groups. Most often, that's where I am. And then you'll catch me every Tuesday night on my business page at thecomfynestwithgrace.com. I also come live here on some Thursdays. So there's lots of places to catch me. Like I said, those Telegram channels are awesome because you get a chance to just get a little live alert when someone is going live. If you want to know when I am, you can just join my Telegram channel. Really, though, as well, so you don't miss anything here on the Essential Stencil page, make sure that you get on their email list. I love the Sunday night email that comes out that tells us who is going to be live and when, so I can get my special notes on my calendar and set some time aside. Good morning, Miss Paula. Hello. Linda's here from sunny West Virginia. I'm so glad it's sunny there. It's very gray here in North Dakota where I'm living. Peggy's here from Belleville, Kansas. Hello, Peggy. So when you buy the wooden tags from Essential Stencil, they're gorgeous. They're lightweight, they're chunky, they're kind of thick. You get 3 of them in a pack. So you get the 3 in a pack. You also get some jute rope, some beautiful jute rope. It's nice and neat and organized. You know, sometimes jute rope is really gnarly. This is not gnarly jute rope. It's nice and neat and organized for you for your 3 tags. This is what the packaging looks like. So if you're looking for little surfaces for your tag stencils that are coming up, especially these are Valentine's Day. They're called Valentine Gnomes Mini, but honestly, they're simply holding hearts. They're adorable. They're simply holding hearts, and I think they could be made for gift tags, for a basket, or for a birthday gift year-round. I don't think they just need to be for Valentine's Day, but let's take a look at them, and you can determine for yourself. I'll show you a close look up at them. Hey, Connie. Cindy says it's sunny and 53 in my part of Illinois today. It's going to be in the low 60s. Shut the front door. That is warm. Girl, I hope you get out for a walk. Enjoy that. Look at you guys. Right. I think these could be year-round. You know, like hearts and love don't have to only be available on Valentine's Day. Look at that little hat. How cute that is. So I was thinking, one of the ambassadors the other day did some work with these on the tags, and they painted. They did like a real great beginner's project is what I think she called it. And she painted these and then painted with a stencil, stenciled over them with paint in a very, very like simple. So I love that look, really simple, just two paint colors, very basic. Beginners for sure, that's a great place to start. But today, we are going to decoupage paper on these to make them a little more fancy. So this is not advanced work. This isn't even intermediate. Beginners, you can handle this. It is just a little bit more work than simply painting your wood. So we are going to decoupage some paper on these to make them super pretty, just different, like more decorative, a little more jazzed up. And then we will stencil over the paper, okay? So first, I did grab I've got 4 here, I didn't mean to. 3 beautiful papers that I think would work really well as a background to the stencil. So the really important thing to keep in mind, and I'll talk to you about this while I get started with these. The really important thing to keep in mind when you're stenciling on top of a background such as paper is that your pattern of paper be very simple. Very simple. So we don't want to have something like a huge floral and stripe background. They're gorgeous, very pretty. I love florals and stripes together. I love florals with polka dots actually too. But that combination would just be too busy for a background of a stencil. But these, you can see they're very simplistic patterns that repeat. So they're not going to compete with your stencil that you put on top of it. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're picking your papers out and you're going to stencil on top of it, to make sure that your papers are very simplistic and, you know, mostly on these two, it's just basically 2 colors. We've got some, and it might even be like light pink and dark pink here. Same thing here. Light pink, medium pink, dark pink. Just one color in 3 different gradations, right? So light, medium, and dark pink. This one's a little more bold because it has greens and pinks in it. We're gonna try it. And if this ends up being too bold, I'm gonna show you a technique that you can use to tone that down a little bit. I got you, girl. Don't you worry. If you don't have any really simple papers and you want to tackle this project today, I got you. I'm gonna show you how you can tone that down. Hello, Cindy. Thanks for sprinkling. I appreciate you. Hey, Lita and Susan. And who else is here? Another Cindy. Welcome, welcome, Maureen Peterson. She says, I finally have an hour or so to myself. I'm Pop. Pop took the grands with him to Lowe's and breakfast. Phew, she says. I know some of you grandparents are so busy with the kiddos. What a blessing though, right? I'm glad you get a few minutes. Have a cup of tea, hang out with us, Maureen. Elizabeth says it's in Massachusetts, it's about 50 degrees out. Oh gosh, that sounds lovely actually. Oh, thanks, Elizabeth. She says she likes the papers. Well, let's get them decoupaged. I'm going to use, actually, let me use my Mod Podge. I'm trying to use my Mod Podge up. It's not my favorite decoupage glue. It might be one of my top favorites for a top coat, but as a glue for decoupage, it's usually the last thing I reach for. So anyway, oh, I got a brush out already. It doesn't matter. You use whatever decoupage glue is your favorite or that you have on hand. Over at the Comfy Nest, especially in the Napkin Lovers Club, we do a lot of product testing for this. I've done quite a bit and shared all my results, like what are the features and benefits of each brand? Why would you want to go with this one and avoid this one? And it really does matter. You want to take into account, what are you decoupaging? Is it a napkin? Is it rice paper? Is it gift paper? Is it decorative scrapbook paper? Is it tissue paper? Those are all different. They all have different properties. So the glue that you use, there are some that work better than others. And are you gluing on wood? Are you gluing on fabric? Totally different. They're totally different. And you would want to know the difference of those and what you need to look for in a glue that's going to work for one versus the other. And that's we do a bit of that. And we talk about that quite a bit in my membership group, the Napkin Lovers Club, where we do tons of decoupage. If you're interested, we are actually accepting members now. But that's here nor there. I'm gonna talk to you a little bit here about using Mod Podge. Now, Mod Podge works great for papers. This is standard weight paper because it's thick and hefty. With napkins, I like to pick different kinds of glue because Mod Podge is just too thick, in my opinion. That's my opinion. Okay, this one's gonna get this paper, and I probably could do it either, the stripes either horizontal or vertical. I'm gonna go horizontal. And you could, so I know somebody's gonna ask, and actually you might get really great results with this project if you were to. I use the iron-on method with the Mod Podge, so iron on the paper versus pushing it into the glue. The iron-on method would be great for this, actually. But we're not going to do that. I'm just using the plain old regular decoupage method. I actually have those tags and would like to make something cute with the gnomes. Well, I got you covered here, Jenny. I got you covered. I'm just going to come in with a clean paper towel, and I want to clean out the excess glue. So what I did, I took, this is an old hotel key, right? You can use the applicator that you get with your transfers would be great for pushing the paper into the glue. But when you do that, sometimes if you have a lot of glue, it's gonna ooze out the edges. And all I did right there was just clean up where I got a little excess glue. And right here, girls, I missed a corner. Where are my crafty chicks? Imagine that, Gracie missed a corner. All right, I'm gonna press this down. I'm gonna cut down the paper so I'm not working with such a big piece because I don't need all of that. I just need this little section. This can go to the side. We'll use that for a different project later, some other time. Okay, that one's done, waiting to dry. I can get these other ones glued on in the meantime. So actually, to make more room on my table, I think what I'll do is just cut these down now. So that I'm not working with such big pieces of paper. Wouldn't that be easier? Actually, 2 of those, didn't need 2. So what is everybody up to today? Good morning, Jennifer. Oh, I'm so glad you're happy. Jenny's like, yay, we're doing some tag projects today. Yes, we are going to decorate these up with those little gnomes. They would make great little, listen, so it's funny because when these little holidays come up, we have different level, tell me if you agree with this. We have different levels of gifts for different people depending who they are. If it's your significant other, like my husband, I might get him something more elaborate, right? Than I might get, for example, my kids get maybe a little treat. Sometimes I send my godchildren something little in the mail, and if I have to mail it, it's gonna be something a little different. But if you have a neighbor that you like to exchange little treats with, like maybe like a basket of muffins or something, these little tags would be great to hang off the basket to say, Happy Valentine's Day. But honestly, if it's their birthday, I think these little tags would be great for birthday greetings as well. I don't think that this is, to me, my opinion, these are not just limited to Valentine's Day. I just think they're so darling. Hi, Katana, how are you? Lois is here from Vermont. Thanks for sprinkling, friend. Thank you, thank you. Lita says, I'm enjoying my last few days off before I go back to work on Tuesday. So we are actually celebrating our family Christmas today, you guys. Today, it's just the way it worked out. My mother-in-law was supposed to fly in from Florida to North Dakota last week for Christmas, and with all the flights that were canceled and the weather, that didn't work. So she rebooked her flight to come this week. So we're going to get to see her. She's on her way here now with other family members, and we are doing our Christmas gifts and dinner today. So we get to celebrate Christmas twice, actually. What a blessing for those of us who had, you know, little goof ups with the holiday weather, with the weather during the holiday. Some of us who celebrate Christmas are getting to do it twice because we, of course, my husband and I still made Christmas dinner for our kids and us. I'm checking to see. This paper does have a little bit of a gradient. It's a little darker in this corner than it is up here, and I want the brightest part of this up top, so I'm picking the section that I want, and I'm just going to put it on there. I'm going to take my little card. You can use anything stiff. I'm just going to push it down and make sure it's really got no bubbles and it's on there strongly. And this is really easy to do with very average paper. So this paper is not cardstock. It's regular scrapbook paper. I got this stuff from Hobby Lobby, I think. It's just regular weight scrapbook paper, decorative paper. Cardstock is actually more difficult to work with, so I would avoid it if possible. I got a little bit of glue. I can see it from the back. It's inside let's see, I need a little pointy, some kind of pointy tool because it's inside. I have a little buildup of glue inside that little hole, and I don't want it to interfere with me cutting that paper later to reestablish that hole. So I'm gonna dig out that little bit of glue with my X-Acto knife. That little bit of prep, if you can get to that glue before it dries, it will make the next part of the project much easier. So I usually check for oozing glue, make sure I have good adherence here of the paper, and then we can go on to the next one. These are pretty simple to do. I think even the kiddos, if you do watch the grandkids and they're old enough to do some crafting, you know, if they're not like babies and toddlers, the kids can handle this. You know, 7, 8-year-old kids, preteens, teenagers, and older, they can all do this. It's very, very simple. You may need to have some wet wipes nearby for gluey fingers when we're done, but all is good. When we're crafting together, it's always fun and always good. So I can hear my living room is right there, and I can hear my teenage son watching TV. So I hope you guys can't hear that. It feels really loud to me. Usually when I'm live during the day, I'm by myself, so I don't have I'm not competing with anybody for how loud it is in the house. I could actually go right to the top if I wanted here, so I didn't have to sand that off, but I'm gonna end up sanding off all the edges. So I'm gonna get pretty darn close to the top, but I still want to sand that edge because I want all of the edges to match. I wouldn't wanna have this one not sanded and everything else sanded. So I am gonna leave just a little lip of paper up top there so that I can sand everything down. That way it all matches and is coordinated, because it will give a little different look to that edge when it's sanded. Okay, now that that part's done, you have an option. You have two options here. Our stencil brushes are expected to arrive in late January. I'm going to be using them today, so that's good information from Essential Stencil. I'm so glad that they are here to answer questions like that. There's an end of the year sale where things are 25% off, and there are new bundles to look at. You can also use my code, the Comfy Nest, to get an additional 10% off. But Essential Stencil is updating us that the brushes will be available in January, so that's good to know. Okay. I love working with scrapbook paper. Oh, Patty, I do too. It's so fun. And there's so many to pick from, so many different styles and vibes that you get from them. I love distressed and aged and vintage looking paper, but this is like really cutesy and bright paper. Like I was thinking gift tags, right? These could even be little home decor to sit on like a tiered tray or up on a little, I always have something on the ledge of my window in the kitchen right above the sink, so that I have something cute to look at, some little phrase or inspiration to look at while I'm doing the dishes. It's always nice to have a little pick-me-up. All right. Oh, look at you guys chatting with each other in the comments. I just love it. I love it, love it. Hello, Selena. Joyce is loving the paper. Yay. Hi, Connie in North Carolina and Robin in Arizona. Okay, couple of choices here. We could sand off the edges. Well, ideally, you will want to wait when you're doing this at home. Ideally, walk away from your project at this point and let the glue that is between the paper and the board dry. I could hit it with my dryer. I don't think that's going to have a ton of effect in the time frame that we're together, right? So I'm going to skip doing that. But what I would say is ideally, you want this to be dry before you move on to the next part. I can feel, because the paper is cool to the touch, I can feel that that glue under there is still damp. It's still wet. And that's not ideal, right? Like we would want it to be completely dry before we move on. What I'm gonna do next, you have a choice. I would love to put another coat of top coat on this, another coat of Mod Podge to protect the paper. You don't have to do that. So here's the thing. If you are going to come on, which we are, we're going to come on over this with our stencil. If I can grab it, we're going to come over this with our stencil and paint on the paper. The paper can handle the paint. That's not a problem. But if you had a top coat over your paper, if you had any bleed through or if you had any muck ups, like as I like to call them, the top coat works as a sealer, and you will easily be able to clean up your bleed through with a little Q-tip or a little squeegee or like just a huggy wipe if you had a little bleed through. You would have the option to do that. If you do not top coat your paper, there's no room for error or fixing. Like very, very little room for error or fixing, because the paper is porous. Think of like a paper napkin. And when I put that glue on here, it's gonna, or the paint on here, it's gonna suck into the paper. So there's not gonna be any moving it or taking it off once it's in the paper. However, if you put the Mod Podge on first, you give yourself that protective barrier and a little bit of wiggle room for fixing any errors or bleed through or things like that. Now, you don't have to use paint. Actually, you could use paint markers maybe, as long as they're not super juicy, because you don't want to have extra wet things. I'm going to sand off the paper while we're talking about this. You could use like regular Crayola markers or something to fill in. And actually, you may have seen me here on the Essential Stencil page. Every once in a while, I like to do the paint with markers demonstration, and I usually do it with the florals, because if you use like even the erasable markers from Crayola, if you outline your stencil with a washable marker and then use a brush with water, you can move that paint on a non-porous surface. You can move that paint around, that marker ink. I don't know what it's actually, I don't know if it's ink or what it is. You can move it around with the brush and some water and make like a watercolor effect to it. So you don't always have to use paint, but I'm going to use paint today. I'm going to use regular acrylic paint. All right, we got the first one done. Nice and neat edges because we sanded them off. I do have to reestablish this hole. I'll show you how to do that in a second. Let's get these all sanded off quick. Hello, Connie. Let me see. I think I'm behind on comments. Hello, Jackie in Michigan. Thanks, Katana, for fluffing the nest. Lita's going to order. She said, I'm going to order a couple of brush sets when they come in. I have two. It is nice to have a couple of them. It really is. Hello, Miss Christy from Funky Junk Inspiration, another brand ambassador with Essential Stencil. She's fabulous. She does a lot of work with the stencils on her page. All right, here we go. So if you have a chance to click on that and follow, we always love recommending other brand ambassadors to follow for more crafty ideas with your stencils. Another place to get that inspiration, another great place, is through the Stencil of the Month Club, for which, when you belong to the club, you get sets of stencils, unique stencils that you can't get on the website. They're only available to club members. I have a little bubble right there. I'm not going to let it bother me. But once you join, you get an invitation to a Facebook group that is exclusive to club members. It's here on Facebook, and it's where all of the members are sharing their stencil project photos, and the brand ambassadors are in there sharing their project stencil photos. It's super inspirational and fun to see. So that's one of the perks of being a member of the Stencil of the Month Club, if you didn't know. All right. I like hanging my project off my table and just holding it here and letting it hang off the table and doing it. All my paper falls on the floor. I'll clean that up later, but it gives you good leverage, especially if you have hand and wrist like pain or issues, joint pain. It's an easier way to sand things off. Okay, this next part is reestablishing these holes through the paper, okay? Again, do as I say, not as I'm going to do. Ideally, you would want this to be completely dry and sealed into the wood before you do this next step. I am going to poke through the hole from this side, poke through the paper with my X-Acto knife, and I usually do it, I poke once and then I turn and then I poke again to kind of make a plus sign. And then I'm going to just twist this left and right, wiggle, 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 until I kind of scrape away the paper with that X-Acto knife. That's how I do it, okay? I find it easiest that way. Again, it is ideal if you do this when your paper is completely dry. If it's wet, you chance ripping the paper off the edge of the hole which we don't want. We want the hole to look nice and neat, and we want the paper to fully cover around the hole, and you chance ripping it off if it's still wet. So make sure it's dry before you do this part. I got a pretty good job of it, but I think when it's wet, the paper just tears really easily. Once that Mod Podge, the glue, has sealed that paper onto the wood, it's not going to tear so easily. So I did a pretty good job there. So again, I do a little X. I push this through as much as I can, one direction, and then I turn the X-Acto knife, I push it through, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to scrape around. See, I did rip the paper a little bit right there on the actual board. I'm going to scrape around the hole to cut that paper. If the hole is small enough, you can just do this, left and right, left and right. My X-Acto knife goes right through here though. So I'm going to take the edge of that X-Acto knife and I'm scraping it against the edge of the hole to cut that paper off, okay? If you have a little set of those really tiny little sanding, what are they called? What are they even called? I think I have mine right here, I think. Oh, I usually have them right here. Let's check one more place. You can buy, oh, here they are, needle files they're called. They're like emery boards, except they have all different shapes. Some of them are flat, some of them are round, some of them are triangular, but they're all little sanding files that you can use to sand off those scrapey paper edges, okay? This one, I don't like the shape of that for doing this. And let's see, I think I'm gonna grab the round one because it kind of, it flows more easily. But that can be helpful too. It's like a little sanding tool with a handle. They're called needle files. Mine are in my Amazon store because I got them off Amazon. I couldn't believe when I ordered them how many options there were. I was like, seriously? I had no idea there were that many needle files in the world. Options. I just need some from a little craft room. There we go. This one was really easy to do. I think the longer that your glue dries, I'm telling you, the longer it dries, the more secure it is there, and you will not rip it. It won't rip as easily. It'll just break off the way it's supposed to. So do as I say, give it time to dry before you move on to the sanding part and reestablishing those holes. See, it's established now. Oh my gosh, that's cute. Cute, cute, cute. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. My recommendation would be to top coat these with Mod Podge before you do the next step. Do you have to? No. Will it be easier for you if you make a mistake and you want to clean it up? Yes. I'm not going to do that for the sake of time. I'm just going to go right over my paper, which is another option. Look at how cute they turned out. That one's my pink stripes. Hi, Amber from Oklahoma. Thanks for being here. That one is the green and pink plaid. That's the busiest one. And then I have just pinks, light pink, medium pink, dark pink, okay? So I have 3 different options here. Now, remember I said to you, ideally you want something that's very monochromatic and simple. You don't want to introduce a lot of colors, patterns in the background behind a stenciled project, okay? So I want this to be as simplistic as possible. This one is a little bold. It's a little bit bold. So if I want to make sure that my little Nomi is going to show up really well, you can make sure that you choose a very contrasting paint color, number 1. And second of all, we can put a paint wash over this to just dull it a little and make it fall further into the background. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab, just to show you how to do this, if you have a paper that you're using that you feel is a little bit too busy, but it's the one you want to use, we're going to move on to our paints. I'm going to grab, put away my Mod Podge for now. Grab a new paintbrush, yes. Okay, little paint palette here. It's dry. I know it looks all colored. That is dried on there. I'm going to take a little bit of a similar paint color to this. So I have a really soft green here. I have 2 of them actually that I grabbed that are very similar to my paper color. So you just pick the one that you think would work best. I'm going to pick the brighter of the 2. The other one's a little bit more gray. I think it's actually called, oh, it's slate green. This one is called Sage Shadow. And if the tone of the paint is still too dark, you will want to just add a little white paint to it. You can just add a little white paint to brighten up the color. I don't need to brighten up the color, but I do want to make a wash. Okay, you can use water. You can use water to do a wash, for a paint wash for this next layer. You could use glaze, a glazing medium. Mine is across the room. I'm not going to grab it. You could use a glazing medium. I'm going to use my Liquitex matte medium. It's a liquid acrylic medium. I'm mixing it with chalk paint, okay? This is an acrylic product. It mixes with my chalk paint just fine, but it's meant to be mixed with acrylic paint. You wouldn't want to mix it with an oil paint, I guess is the really main thing. I just put equal parts of paint and my liquid medium. The liquid medium is going to spread that paint out. It's going to double the volume and it's going to spread it out, and I'm trying to make it a little more translucent. I want a very light wash of paint, not full coverage. So I'm putting more of that liquid in there to even make the ratio of the matte medium is 2 to 1 part of the paint to make it a wash. You can use water for this, but you're going to get a better flow and better coverage with the matte medium. Okay, you can use water. I've used water tons of times to do this, but I have my matte medium right here, so I'm going to use that. Let's see who's here and what questions or what's going on. Lita's from Texas. Somebody must have said they're from Texas, and Lita said, I'm from Texas too. Tammy, my code is The Comfy Nest. All is one word, The Comfy Nest, if you want to get an extra 10% off. So thank you for asking, Tammy. It's in the description of the video. Lita's asking too. My code, The Comfy Nest. All is one word. All right, we're going to take that little bit of paint and we're going to wash it over this. I'm going to do part of it and leave part of it unwashed to show you the difference. So I'm going to wash the bottom. Now remember, I want my paint to be in the, or my paper to be in the background. I want the star of the show to be the gnomes. Can you see the bottom? I did the light wash, and right about here where my finger is where I stopped. It's very subtle, but do you see how it toned down the bottom half and how bright this part is? When you put that wash over the paper, it's going to soften the bright tones so that they kind of fade into the background. It's subtle, but I will tell you, when you are trying to do layers of art supplies, craft supplies, and you want the top thing, this is the star of the show, this is the focal point, I want that to show most, then it's helpful to get your background to kind of be in the background. And doing a nice soft paint wash over your paper will really soften it up and make it less bright. I could do the same to these, but I'm not, because I really like those colors the way they are. Okay, there. So I just gave you a little layering technique lesson, and we talked about doing a paint wash over your background to be helpful. Okay, I'm going to start with these two. I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to start with these two, and I've got to pick which one is going to go where. This one has some stripes on the hat, so I'm not going to put it on the striped paper. We can put that one on this paper. So I'm going to make some design decisions here. This one has the big openings in the hat. That might be best on my busiest background, the one with the plaid, and that leaves this guy for over here. And any of the graphics on a stencil that isn't words, really any graphic, if you want to flip it and get them facing the other way, you can do that. So I'm going to pay attention to that, because maybe I want all their hats in the same direction if I'm going to use these all together somewhere, like hanging them on a tree, or maybe I want the hats in opposite directions. So I better make that decision now. I think I'll put them all in the same direction. Let's just make it easy. And now we just have to pick paint colors. I'm going to do very basic, one paint color, because we have multiple colors in the background and we don't want to compete with the background. We want to be the focal point. Does that thin the paint out? Yes, it does. And how does it dry? It just dries just like your regular paint. It will dry in the same time that your paint will dry. My code is The Comfy Nest. Yeah, thank you for sharing it, Essential Stencil. So helpful. There, I see it. Let's see. Hi, Brenda from Kansas. Ellen says she loves watching me create. Hearts to you. Thanks for saying that. It really, it just lifts us so much when you guys throw out those, I know they're simple comments and observations and reactions, but they really lift us up. So thank you for saying that, Ellen. I appreciate you. Jennifer says, I love this idea. I never would have thought of doing that. And I think she's talking about the wash. It's a really helpful way to make sure that your background is in the background and that your stencil is the forefront of what we see. Let's see. Where do you get the liquid stuff at? I get it off Amazon. You can get it in my store. My Amazon store, but you can get this at Michael's. You can get it at Hobby Lobby, but you have to go to the art section where they sell the fine art brushes, the fine art acrylics, not craft paint. There's a separate section at these stores for art supplies where they sell the art easels and all the art canvases. You will find the paints and you will find acrylic mediums. This is a liquid. It also comes in a gel, which I use all the time too. But, and you don't have to get this brand. This is called Liquitex. You can get any brand you want, but an acrylic liquid medium or a glaze is really nice because that adds a little bit of a shine. You could also use that. So liquid medium or glaze would both work well. New to the page and now following. Well, thank you, Created with Love by Junebug. What a cute name of your little creative business. I love it. Hey, Don Riley and Susan Tyseth is here. More of these crafty chicks coming and hanging out with us. Lori says, they're so cute. Thanks, darling. Tammy says, I missed the sign up for December for the month, Stencil of the Month Club because her mama had surgery. Oh, God bless her. Blessings to both of you. So she's waiting for January to join. You will love it. You will love the Stencil of the Month Club. And don't forget, when you guys sign up for the Stencil of the Month Club, so when you do that, Tammy, use my code, The Comfy Nest. You'll get 50% off that first month. Could you add paint to your Mod Podge to accomplish the wash? I haven't done that before. You probably could. Here's the thing. Mod Podge is a glue and a top coat, and it is not an acrylic. So if you mix it with some paints, it may resist the paint, okay? So I would say it's definitely worth trying, but I can't say for sure what it will do. This is an acrylic medium. It's the same thing that's in acrylic paint, except it has no color. It's a liquid acrylic. So it's made to be mixed with your acrylic paints. I use it with my chalk paints too, and it works just fine. But it's made for that. So you'll never have any resist. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, and the dry time will be the same. Cannot say for sure here because I've never tried it. But I think it's worth trying because I'm an experimentalist and I love to try, Amber, different things with my stash. Okay, let's see. At the very back of the store, Amber says you can get that stuff. Yeah. I would suggest, if you've never used it before, I buy this in the gallon because I was giving it to every member that joined the Napkin Lovers Club, got a sample of this. I've now switched to a new product that I equally love. But so I buy this by the gallon because I use it a lot, okay? But if you have never used it, I would say this for every product. If you've never used it, I would buy the smallest bottle possible to test it out, see if you like it. That way, if it's not something you think you're going to use, you don't feel like you've wasted all this money on something that's just going to sit there, right? So get the smallest bottle possible, try it out, and then you can decide. Yes, you can add water, Sandy. It is different. Adding water is different, and I would very much caution you on papers to be careful about adding water to papers. This is a thicker formula, and it is the same formula as the paint, basically. So it's not going to be as harsh on your paper, okay? But yes, I've used water too. First time catching you, and now a fan and following. I'm so glad. That just makes my heart happy. Oh, Cindy said, I hope I didn't miss much. I've been with a customer at work. You're so sweet. Okay, no, you didn't miss a whole lot. We did our wash. We picked out what stencils go and where, and I just started talking about paint colors. Now, I'm going to pick one solid paint color for each because we already have colors in the background, right? And what I want to pick a pink. You don't have to do pink. You could do a dark gray, you could do a black, you could do whatever color you want, but I would highly suggest that it's a darker pigment, darker tone of color than what you have in your paper. If I picked the same exact pink that's in my paper, we're gonna lose that focal point. It's just gonna get a little lost in the mix here. So I wanna purposefully pick a color, any color really, that's darker than what is in your background. So for this one, see how that's kind of a lighter pink? This is a pink that I have that's much darker, and I love this color. I love it. I'm gonna have to buy more when it runs out. It's called Antique Mauve from Americana. I just love this color. It's kind of like a creamy cranberry color, but it's mauve. And see how it's darker than what's going on here? That's gonna be a great paint for my stencil because my gnome will really pop, yet it's still a pink and it matches. I'm gonna use this same mauve on this pink because it's darker and it's gonna show up really well. And to me, it's not competing with the pink. Now, if I put down a green or a really dark blue, that's just my opinion, it's a little, it might throw you off, throw the eye off a little bit, where when I use the same color, pink, but just a really dark tone of it, even if it's a little bit different, like one is cool and one's a warm, to me, it just meshes more. So we're talking like design stuff here and making choices that will help your project stand out the best. But truly, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? So you get to say, you get to do you. I would say, girl, you do you. These are just my thoughts. And if you struggle with color choices, I'm talking you through some things that would be foolproof for choosing colors. You love my junk journaling too. Thank you, Cindy. Thanks for hanging out with me, creating and crafting and filling our hearts with joy, making pretty things. Kelly says, I liked, and I'm spreading the word from Indiana. Well, thank you, my friend. Thank you, thank you. It's going to look fabulous. Well, I hope so. Susan, that's the idea. I don't glue. I don't use an adhesive on the back. You totally can if you want to. I don't tape. I just hold my stencil down and hope for the best. I'm kind of a wing it girl, and I'm kind of a lazy crafter, I would say. I want to take the shortest route possible to getting this cute little thing done. So if there are shortcuts, this girl's going to take them. So making sure there's not a lot of paint on here. It's a very dry brush. I'm dipping my paint into what I call the paint store, where the reserve of paint is. And then off of that, in the land of offload, I call it. I have all kinds of names for everything, girls. You'll find out if you hang out with me more. In the land of offload, I'm going to offload most of that paint. And then I'm going to come in and I'm stippling. Up and down motion. You don't have to stipple. You don't have to. Amanda does a really gorgeous job with her stencil work. When she's live on Mondays here on the page, and she does circular motion, and she does a beautiful job with her projects. Circles work. You can do little brushes if it's a long line of something, like we have some stripes on this hat. You can do brushes back and forth, very soft. I like to stipple, guys. It's kind of what I do the most, I think. Sometimes I do the circles. Sometimes you'll see me do a little bit of everything in one project. I will warn you though, keep in mind, I have not top coated this paper. I've not top coated it with anything. I'm gonna need more paint, I know that much. So, because I have not top coated my paper and I am wetting it with paint, once you wet paper, it's going to absorb the wetness, whether it's water or any liquid, whether it's water or paint, it's going to absorb the wetness, and then that paper becomes fragile and it can shred really easily. That's why I said make sure your paper is dry before you move on to the next stage. So when it's wet and you're stenciling on it, if you continuously rub in one area on the wet paper, it's going to shred on you. So don't spend a lot of time in one spot. If you have to, you can go back and add more paint later. But you may benefit from the stippling as opposed to the circles or brushing back and forth, because you don't want to tear this gorgeous paper that we put down. So I'm back to my stippling, and I'm just going to patiently hold my stencil while I come down and fill in my little gnome. It's gonna look fabulous. I hope so, Susan. That's the last comment I'm seeing. I know I'm behind in comments. I'll have to, they don't move forward on my iPad. I have to actually adjust the screen to see all your comments. They're not like just coming through. So in a minute, I'll adjust and catch up with the comments. And I'm so happy that you guys are chit-chatting in the comments and that Essential Stencil is here to answer your questions. So if you have questions about the Stencil of the Month Club, about the special right now, about discount codes, the new bundles that are available, go ahead and shoot them in the comments, because I shouldn't have said that word. Put them in the comments, because they're here. The Essential Stencil folks are fabulous, and they're here, and they can answer your questions. Okay, I call this the hinge method, holding very strongly still that stencil in place. I'm just going to hinge this up and take a peek and see if I've got pretty good coverage. Oh, it's perfect coverage if you ask me. Look at girls. Pink on pink. You cannot go wrong. Now, you could use, like I said, you can use black. You can use dark gray. You could use blue. You put any color you want, really. I'm not to tell you what to do. But pink on pink with just the darker tone really helps it come out, and we still keep that pink tone and vibe to it, right? If that's what you want. Isn't that darling, you guys? See how he has stripes, or she, on her hat? It's why I didn't want to use that striped gnome on the striped paper. We wanted to keep those separate. Darling, so cute. You're darling. You're adorable. Okay, I'm talking to my gnome now. I'm going to position it where I want it, and we're going to get started with this one. This one has more open space. I really like the way a stipple looks because it looks like stucco. When you stipple paint in an open space, meaning the hat is very open here. There are some, you're going to see the hearts on the hat, but there's a lot of pink paint that's going down to fill in the hat because there's a lot of open space. And when you stipple, it gives a different look, a different texture to the paint than doing circles does. Doing the little, sweet little circles. I like the stippled look because it reminds me of stucco, and I love stucco. It gives it that raised look to the paint. Now, if you have mobility issues, if your hands get tired easily, if your joints hurt, right now, what I'm tending to do for these projects right in front of you here is I'm trying to put this on thick enough. I don't have a lot of paint here, but I keep stippling over the same area until I have full coverage. You don't have to do that. So it's going to take me a couple seconds longer in this paint application because I keep going over the same area over and over again to really fill it in. But you could do one really light application of paint, give your hand a break, let it go, let it rest, shake it off, and then come back in and add more layers of paint more slowly. When we do our lives for you guys, we tend to move quickly and we tend to take shortcuts. I don't know if anybody's ever pointed that out to you. I point it out all the time because I want you guys to have the best success possible with your projects. I want you to be so happy when it's done. I want you to be comfortable. If you have hand mobility issues or joint pain, which I do have a little bit of joint pain kicking in, I've just turned 50 and this is already happening. I understand it and I'm pointing it out so that not only are you going to have good success with your project, but it's also not going to hurt you. You're not going to be in pain while you're doing it. So my hand is like my knuckle right here is kind of not feeling great. So I would say to you, if you have those same issues, do lighter coats and do more of them. I'm doing one really thick coat, so it's taken me a little more effort. Doesn't feel great on my hand, I'll be totally honest. So just take your time if you have those same issues. Do more than one coat. This is really good paint coverage, so I have no worries about pulling that up right away. I didn't even have to hinge it. Look at how dark that paint came out and how good the coverage is. Look at the little hearts on that hat, you guys, with the very faint stripe behind it. It's so cute. Now, I may even consider on this one coming in with like a very fine tip black marker. You could use gold, silver, black. You could use a pink, and outlining the hat to close those hearts, right? You could even use one of the very fine detail brushes, from Essential Stencil. You can get the detail brushes, and you could use the same color paint with a fine detail brush and close those hearts out on the outside of the hat. But I love it open. I think it's darling just the way it is. Oh, it shows up so well. Okay, let's go to our wash. I'm gonna go to my, this is dry now. This is the one that has two colors in it, and it has mainly green. It's mainly green, but we have some pink stripes coming through there to make the plaid. So the background is basically that sage green. So on this one, again, pick a darker green to go over it. I'm not gonna go with pink. I'm gonna, well, maybe I should do it. What do you think? What do you think? Either way, I could go with pink or green here, but I would do a dark, dark paint, whatever it is. I could use gray, I could use black, like I said. But would you do a pink? If these are three are gonna go together, don't you think I should do pink again? If these three are gonna be sitting together, shouldn't I do pink, pink, pink gnomes, the same pink? I think it would work on this guy. What do you think? I gotta see what you say because I'm not sure. You're loving it. Everyone's saying, I love it. Mary's been watching replays on Essential Stencil. Good for you. They're always there for you. Hey, Donna Jones in Iowa. I see you. I don't have time to read your comment right now, but I will go back and try to read them later. Becca says, welcome newbies. Essential Stencil is a great company and have awesome ambassadors to guide you through the process. Yes, yes, that's so true, Becca. Thanks for telling everybody that. You're right about it. Becca's loving the pink and green. Brenda says green. Amber says green. I have a vote for pink, 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 another pink, another pink, another pink. Oh yeah, it sounds like pink is the main suggestion here. Karen says, I like doing stippling with the stencils because it does give it a different look. It gives it a different texture. If you've never tried it, practice on a brown paper bag or practice on like a cardboard box that comes in the mail. Take a stencil, like these stencils, you can line up two of them and same paint, same brush. Try one with circles and one with stipple and just see which one you like better. They are a little different. I'm not saying one is better than the other. You might just have a preference of one over the other. Leslie Ann says, I love soaking up your knowledge and creativity. I'm so glad you're here to do it. I'm so glad. All right, it sounds like most of you are saying pink. I'm kind of thinking pink too because then these are all coordinated. If I wanted to give these away or sell them, I might sell them in one of my live auctions, the tags themselves. They would be cute if they were coordinated, right? Because then if they hung on, if you wanted to use them in home decor, hang them on a tree or above a door in a window or something, they would all be matching. That would be really cute. So I think I'll go with the same color for that reason. Let's do the pink and see how it shows up. I'll get a little piece of paint, dried paint on there. We don't need that. Okay, we're gonna try the pink. Here we go. Stippling in the hat area, which has like this one, it has a lot of, we're gonna see a lot of pink in the hat area, a lot of open space on that stencil in that spot for filling in with paint. Make sure you have a nice, evenly coated, these brushes are gorgeous for this, evenly coated brush. There's no dripping paint here. It's not oozing. We want it nice and dry, but full. These brushes, you can see how that paint has moved up the brush bristles. It has moved up and into the brush. So it holds that paint up in there. And as you're stippling, it's releasing the paint onto your paper, which is fantastic. They hold the paint very, very well. I have some paint brushes. I think these are natural bristles. I have some paintbrushes that have like the acrylic bristles, I don't want to call them unnatural, but acrylic bristles. And they don't seem to hold the paint as long as the natural bristle brushes for something like this, when you need it to really hold the paint well and release it when you want it to be released. So anybody who has these brushes raves about them, and that's a telltale sign of how great they are. It's a good investment. And, you know, again, always use one of our codes. My code is the Comfy Nest to make sure that you're getting the best discount possible on the site. Okay, I'm down to the little feet. And it looks like it has a skirt on, so maybe this one's a female. Down to the little feet. I think I'm going to hinge this one because I just want to make sure that I've got good coverage. I do. Oh my gosh, you guys. Look at the little swirly. I didn't even notice it until now. Look at the top of the hat on this stencil design. Look at the little swirly. How the hat is kind of curled upon itself and there's a little heart on the end. I think the pink worked out really great. You guys. Woo, woo, woo. Here we go. Let's take a look at what we did today from afar. I know it's kind of far away. I will take a picture and share. I'll give it to Essential Stencil so they can share it later for you guys. So that's how the pink on pink worked out. And this is the pink on green plaid. It actually shows up really, really well. That bit of wash really helped to make the plaid go to the background. And the pink on the stenciled part, on the gnome, really looks great. Like you can really see the distinction between the focal point and the background is just out in the background. You could make these pop a little more, make them a little bit more of a focal point, like I said, by getting like a Sharpie marker, any kind of sharp permanent marker that isn't really juicy, okay? I have paint markers. I have the Posco, I have a ton of different brands, but I will say to you, this is the brand that I get at Walmart. This is not, I'm not knocking, I'm just sharing with you my experiences. This is the brand that I get at Walmart. I struggle with this paint marker more than any because it gets dry. And then like all of these, when you want to wet the nib of the paint marker, you push it into the surface. So I push it on a piece of scrap paper to get the paint to come down. Then it's just a drippy mess. Then it drips. You can't really use it with any accuracy because it drips so much. These I find to be very drippy. So before you go in on a project, if you are buying a new marker, trying a new brand, make sure you use your journal, get out your art journal, your craft journal, and practice with that pen doing different things. Writing, coloring, outlining, just to make sure that you know how the marker works and how the paint works and how it comes out, so that when you go on in a project that you've done, you know what to expect from that supply. Otherwise, I'm sure we all have done it. You go in on a project with a new pen or marker and it's not working the way you thought it should. It doesn't look the way you want it to. So practice on your paper, scrap paper or cardboard, before you go in on your project with anything like that. But like I said, the detail brushes, this is just one of them. You get a big set of them with different levels of detail in the brush itself. They're different sizes. They have a long, beautiful handle with this angular part for holding the brush, which is really comfortable for the hand. So it's wider down here where you hold it. They match the stencil brushes. They all have that blue, signature blue top of Essential Stencil. But these, you could use these with your paint to outline and fill in anything on here that you wanted to. With either the same pink color, or you could come in with a dark gray if you wanted and outline things. But have fun with it when you do. That's the main part. Just really have fun with it. So let's check. We should be seeing some winners posted pretty soon here. If you are catching the replay, don't forget to comment and let us know that, because within 24 hours of the broadcast, there will be another winner chosen from those of you who are watching on the replay. I'm going to try to stand up and show these to you a little closer. A couple of things. Here is the stencil that we used. It's called Valentine Gnome Mini. Okay, that's the stencil. I used the 3-pack of pine wood tags from Essential Stencil. There's a year-end sale right now, so check that out because it's 25% off. And then you can use my code, The Comfy Nest, to get an additional 10% off, even if you sign up for the Stencil of the Month Club. Look at how darling these are, you guys. So I would suggest when you're done with this project and everything has truly dried, I will come back over these with my Mod Podge and top coat them. I'll probably put 2 coats of top coat, brushed on top coat, to seal the paper in and to make sure that my gnomes, the paint is sealed in and not going anywhere. Okay, let's see if we can find some winners. Oh, I see some winners named. You ready, girls? Here are your names, the names of our winners today. Melissa, oh, please don't go anywhere. Melissa Marie Durham. So Melissa Marie Durham, Debbie, oh, it keeps moving on me. Debbie Sprouse Fierro, you are a winner, and Mary Summers. So Mary Summers, Debbie, and Melissa, the three of you just won a set of stencils from this most generous, fantastic company. Every day we have a live, there are stencils given away, so don't forget to get on the email list, because every Sunday you'll get the schedule for the week, and you can join a different brand ambassador, learn a different technique, a different style, and be eligible, if you're here live and commenting, be eligible to win some stencils. Whoop, whoop. So congratulations to Melissa, Debbie, and Mary. The email address that you need to email the company, your name and address, is in that comment, that pinned comment. So check that out. That's also the same email address, girls. If you have customer service questions, email them at support@essentialstencil.com. Okay, you guys have a beautiful, blessed day. It is our Christmas here for my family. So Merry Christmas to the Kurtz family as we try to finish our celebration, start and finish our celebration together, since the weather kind of kept us apart. So for all of you who have delayed Christmases, Merry Christmas once again. I hope it's blessed, and Happy New Year, ladies. You can come on over. I'd be honored to have you come over to the Comfy Nest with Grace and follow and like the page so you can hang out with me more. Thanks for being here today. Bye, guys.